I'm your host, Leroy John Baptist, along with Mark Charles, our executive producer, and Taddy Arundel, our co-host. And today we are going back into the Gren community, where we have a stalwart, a visionary, I would want to say a hero of Antigua and Barbuda, unsung hero, and shortly we will bring him forth to you so we could start to interact with him and really go back into those days growing up in the Gren community and elevating himself into one of the highest sports personality officiator we have had around our time. But before we get into that, let us do our regular housekeeping matters and recognize our platinum sponsor, ACB Caribbean. We want to recognize them for 43 years unbroken service with the Antigua Parish League Circuit, and we're very appreciative of their commitment and their partnership with us as we move forward into the years to come. And we also want to commend them on celebrating their 65th year of service to the Antiguan community, and so we want to wish them all the best and to encourage you for all of your banking and financial needs to utilize the guys at the ACB Caribbean Bank there. Also, we want to recognize Cool and Smooth. We want to thank them for their continued support of the Parish League program and for all of your sporting needs, appliances, you name it. Just check Amir there at Cool and Smooth. Just let him know the guys from Talking Parish League sent you, and you will get a very special discount, I'm sure, there. Also, we want to recognize Brands for Less. Carol and her team right there at the top of High Street, just opposite the Old Deluxe Cinema. And I was just passing there and I see they have some lovely sweatsuit, tracksuit. You know, a lot of people now into this exercising, walking. Well, you can go right there and get your tracksuits, especially for the ladies. You can fit into them nicely. And so for all your children, male, you name it, clothing, you could check Brands for Less, and shoes, you name it, anything you want, teddy bears, anything you need, just check them right there, Carol and her team at Brands for Less. Also, we want to recognize Digicel, the Bigger Better Network, for their continued support for all of your internet and data needs. Be sure to check them there at Digicel. Also, for the best tasting water, it's Blue Mountain Water, and you can have that from Mega Distributors right there on the American Road. So be sure to check them for your Blue Mountain Water. And for your most refreshing drink, it's Pine Hill juice that can be had from Hutchinson Wholesale in an assortment of flavors. You could have it right there at Hutchinson Wholesale, right there on the Sydney-Wallin Highway. Also, we want to recognize Plumbing Electrical Limited for all of your plumbing and electrical needs. Be sure to check Ahmad and his team there at the corner of the Potters and Herbert's Road there. Check them right there, and they would be happy to take care of you for all of your plumbing and electrical needs. Also, we want to recognize Seco Pharmacy, Cecil Charles Group of Company, but Seco Pharmacy for all of their support to the Parish League Circuit, and we're very much appreciative. So for all of your pharmaceutical, medicinal needs, be sure to check Seco Pharmacy there at the top there of High Street and Temple Street right there. All right, so we want to say thank you for all of our contributors, and so we want to wish them all the best. All right, any other matters we have to look at? Well, Taddy, West Indies draw the series 2-2. You don't have to wake you up. 2-2. Well, not 2-2, but 0-0. And so I think a little commendation has to be given to the guys. They showed some fight. Some person said, you know, they should have won the first test, or should have made a better effort at the first test. But I think all in all, they are showing some slight improvement, and I think we must be appreciative of those small efforts. And so I think that's just about it. So Taddy, good afternoon. You just come off of your eating all your dukana and potato dumpling from the Easter weekend. How are you feeling?
I'm not into that sort of thing these days, you know. Eating dukanas and like saltfish and so like that. Those were my good old young days, you know. Young days, but I'm not into that anymore, man. But I must say, hopefully I have a good show for viewing and listening audience today. But I almost certainly show will be very good. I have a good old friend here with me, who should have been on the show a month ago or so, but he couldn't make it. A good friend Clancy Matt, you know. Like I said, Parishing made him. But he was a superstar before that in the football field. But the time of cricket now, in the parish, they make people, you know. So, but John, let's get to the game, you know, and I may believe, you know, about his cricket story, you know what I mean? I don't listen to the, the comments and so on, and I like listening to the comments, and then the coach and so on, and then something was a sweet sounding nothing. Yeah, the first thing I said to myself, sweet sounding nothing. The Giants as good as we play against. Sports is as good as we play against. But you see the stuff in the pitch up there? That pitch will go for the borders we have. But guess what? The batsmen is so joking, the pitch, they're even good for them. They can't bat good. I heard one commentator saying that my good friend Kurt did it a couple of days ago, a couple of months ago, Jojo. And I did laughing with myself in my whole John. He Curtly, well, the batsman didn't score fast enough and this didn't go. I tell him, say, Curtly, when him Patrick can knock him by the ball out of the pitch, he can't score fast. So he can't win the match with the playing well fast going. If the ball is out of the man, he's trouble. He can't score fast and John, they pay. When he won't score, the boy is very, very unorthodox. He not in the shots. He can't drive a ball good. The boy drive one of the worst batsmen in civil life. Behind the studio. Can't drive a ball to the outside and save your life. Can't cut a ball good. I don't get a shot again, maybe not. But maybe mark to John. And he can't hook. I don't know they came to John. I watch them to John. And I tell myself, hey, they improve. And then her skirt, they said, maybe we should bring a shy hope. I tell myself, wow. Why don't I bring somebody one from ball again? That Fred ball, and this is a bounce over with the wicket. This nonsense story here, and this, I can't be part of the Curtis trying to get
You're mixing up Shy Hope with Dawidge. You're showing that Dawidge you're talking.
It's a Shy Hope too. Dawidge is the same thing on them. But then the good is a shot ball, they can't manage. John, no, look, the only one who said trying to get best, the same boy Mays, trying to get best is a hooky and some. No, he's trying to get best, you know, but he's not the best player, you know, but I like him, I tell him I like the boy, you know. Not because the ability so much now. And the guy goes about cricket, he goes about with some confidence. And I still like the word of Bonner, but I said to Bonner, but it too early. Bonner and number 3 batsman. Okay, Bonner and Shy, and batsman, but it's how quick magic are style. Can the man can score no once. You know batsman who hold them by 20 was already. The most. Maybe not in some way. You batsman all day, made this was enjoy them. So I'm saying to you, Ghana, the West Indies man can make runs quick and they're tying the ball out team, John. But still, John, the bowlers, not the best bowlers are by the right now, John. Okay, see, there's one in the car, what a guy named, what the one trainer, the fast bowler guy.
Gabriel,
you know the matter time he went out of the field. That's the matter time, he had Brogdon, he like Brogdon like this. I don't know what the guy there, I don't know what to pick him for.
Alright, Taddy, I'm sorry to start you up. I see you don't get rev up, so before you get rev up, let me stick to basic. We'll have maybe a little later, if we have a little time, we could indulge Clancy and get Clancy's feedback also the current state of West Indies cricket. But good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and we're pleased to have in our presence once again. He was here before. At that time, we were really just recognizing the time and life of one of our other umpires, Garfield, Christian Monday there, and so. But now he's back to give his side of the story, his version of his life as he grew up. And so good afternoon, Clancy, and welcome back to Talking Parish League.
Thank you, and good afternoon or evening to individuals wherever you may be.
Yes, Clancy, we stream wide and far. We have go as far as Australia, India, England, so we are all over the globe, and already I see Carol is in. So good afternoon, Carol. Good to have you. And let me also pick up Jabu. He always tells me he's a silent listener, so he's always listening, and it's good to have you and all those who are also logged in. Be sure to send in your questions and comments, your anything you want to ask Clancy. This is your time to throw it at him. He's right here, and he's ready to take the fireballs as they come. Now, Clancy, we could start our discussion by talking about, all of the great things you have done and where you've reached, big umpire, football. But we want to go back. We want to talk, we want you. Nobody going to tell us about Clancy. You're going to tell us what it was like for you growing up as a youngster in the Gren community. You say, I hear about it, I don't know about it, so you're going to tell us about it. Tell Taddy about it too, because Taddy might know about it.
I know about you for him, man.
You see, the Gwen is so mature individuals.
Okay, sir.
Right? It's not for youngsters just coming up. They don't know about Gwen.
So Kuma was here a couple of weeks ago, and where Kuma like?
Kuma is a young fellow. I'm not too aware that he was in that era when that name was most popular.
Okay.
Right? He probably hear it from the older folks as well. But for me, well, Clancy Mac, born and bred, church-led, soul-fed, grey farmer, right? And in those days, King George, as you know, was a breeding ground for any young, spirited athlete individual to be in. Because at one point, you used to have volleyball up in one corner. You would have the swinger, see that? I'm going so far back, in the western corner, right? And then you have some football in the middle, and to the west where the basketball court used to be, you used to have some cricket down there as well. So when you come in the afternoon, right, it's a number of things you can get involved with, right? And my heart sport was football, right? So I hang out in the football area, and in those days, unless you're that skilled, you couldn't go in front of the goal. You had to wait behind. So when Kers and Vera and Carver and them guys kick the ball over the post, you kick it back.
Well,
and I think
that the bread line, that what it's called, the bread line.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that individual youngsters used to do, because you never get only one touch of the ball. So you have to volley the ball. And I think it's out of that why individuals learn the technique. Hitting the ball in the valley, the ball come over, you have to hit it first time, because you're not going to get another touch, right? Until you're mature enough and show the skill to go in front the goal and play.
You know, Taddy, I just listening there, and I'm just really just, you know, that just kind of just go down smoothly, because I'm here thinking our present day players, whether football, whatever sport, they feel they have arrived. And if you notice, everybody that sits here, whether they're talking about football or cricket, they talk about that waiting process. They talk about that graduating process to get to the big field. Hear what Clancy say? We have to stay behind. Wait for these guys to kick it over. And then, this is where we develop that skill of volleying the ball back in.
But John, that wasn't in those days when the youngster. You know that we want to play the big boys though. But that's the closest you get to them, John. And like Clancy, when they recognize you have the skill and the talent, they try to get you on the field. Those guys, they keep it down there. They want it there, but you have to earn it. You have to earn it, John. But I must say something about good friend Clancy. He go King George before he, man. I used to as we grew up. They were matching King George in 1963 and so. He the band yet good. You know, John know the ball. Yes, John. King George won the big venue. John. King George won the big venue. One the ground had a pavilion. That's the King George, a pavilion, nice place. So
but I'm just hearing from what Clancy's saying. If you had what you said, it was volleyball.
Everything was there. Yeah. That is all.
Football, cricket.
So you could see it was like a sporting university.
Yeah. Seriously, I tell you, I used to go down there and watch them guys as a young guy in overs close. Yeah. You just walk across, you peep to the fence. You know, you watch them big guys playing. So that was it for me too.
Yeah, Clancy, so as you said, you bought your time at the back there, and you would have, as you said, that's where you would have had your little interaction. How did it proceed from there? How were these guys? Did they readily receive you, or the youngsters at that time, or were they just hands off, hey, just hold on, you're not ready yet?
No, well, like I say, you would have to show some potential from behind. Right? And then what I did after that point, I decided to try goalkeeping. Right? Then certainly you get an easy way in, because most people up to this day don't like goalkeeping. It's a sort of selfless job. Right? And obviously, if you're not going to take anybody out their spot, then they don't mind put you in the goal. You know, so you get in the goal, and then gradually you move from that position, right? And then I start to play wing back on either side, right? And obviously those days my feet would move. This thing about shake and bake, not Clancy, right? I set you up, send you to one side of the field, and you know you're not going to get any crossing, because by the time you go on the flank, you're gone, right? So that's where I got involved. And then, but at first, I must say, before I even started playing wing back at PMS during school league, right? Our coach then was the late Conrad White Sr. We used to call him Sudi White.
Sugi. Both his father.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, speed was something I could boast. So all I wanted to do was to play right wing. You know, one man take him down the flank and go. And then Conrad White Sr. said, no, if you want to play in the school team, you have to play wing back. Right? You're good for run down people. So play wing back. And that's how it started. And I must dare say, he spotted the talent in me I didn't know then. And because playing wing back, I've made the national school team, the national youth team, and the national senior team, playing in the wing back position. Right? So I would have to give credit for his eyes, right, to put me in that position.
John, I must say that was one day, because Sugi was my buddy. He and me like brothers, man. You know, he used to have the conversation. I one day maybe classmate the team because he's a Green Bay too. Friend pick. I just one day, you know, he's a friend pick. I don't know.
You have to defend yourself now.
No. I just said no. Taddy really. It's Taddy really watched me in them times, right? He don't realize Clancy speed. Nobody run when left the boy. At one time, I can tell you, during the days when Five Island used to have this wing attack, Dale on one side, Dalvas on the other. Right? When once Moses is playing, the late Moses, Hillot, Adams, right? He would take one, and I would take one, and that is what would come Five Island wing attack, because neither one. I remember one time Moses got suspended, and they bring Santana to play the wing back. So I had Dalphus, and Dale started zoom. I said, no, Clancy, switch over. So I go, and then the late Robin Baskus say, Clancy and Dale like sea beef and rock. Yeah, because Dale couldn't get anything. And then Dalphus started do the same thing to Santana. So I said to them, look, give me Dalphus, because he's the player who cut in and got goal. Dale is just going to take you down the flank and then put it in. Right? So I said, well, look, tell you what, give me Dalphus. Let me hold Dalphus for the afternoon so he may cut in and shoot and give Dale. Because the ball has to come in and give us a chance, you know, to clear. But at that point, hey, all the time people were saying, oh, Five Island had the fastest team. All right? Then one guy said, no, not when Clancy play. I remember we playing this team from Rangers.
At this team.
Yeah, and Stanley cut free. All right, so Emperor's on the press. So everybody up to the halfway line. Then Stanley get a long ball. So all you saw at the time was Stanley and Robert. Nobody see Clancy. And by the time he reached the 18-yard box, they see Stanley and the ball go down by the old toilet. Right?
Which was his son.
Yeah. Well, you see,
He would know that, John would know that.
right? So, you know, I got him, and then, you know, the ball, bam, clean tackle, man, knock him off. And then people start to realize, hey, but Clancy fast, you know, because I came up from the wing back and coming back this way, and he's coming down here.
So speed was one of your
yes.
main attributes.
Oh yes.
Oh, the attribute, maybe.
Oh yes. But see, If you don't have the speed, then you can put in the other thing.
The other thing. So you need the speed
Yeah,
to catch up.
forget there.
And then you
do the other thing. So I had that.
You had the recipe, Clancy.
Hey, like, John, see, why it was whatever dispute, like, my body took with him, he's the best swing half ever. Man,
Before I came.
Right?
Before I came. He was playing for Superstars.
So before you came,
Who's that? Who are you speaking about?
my body took away. I killed the best my body. Tell me the best swing half and all that.
Yeah, before I
So
came.
you want to challenge Clancy about the best swing half? No story.
No, before I came. Because the minute I came in from school league, right, and I got into the national team, took a wing back position, gone. Clancy and Florence.
Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander Florence and Clancy.
Good afternoon, Conrad Bowers and Darby. Good afternoon, Darby. Stephen Fain. Is Parish League cancelled this year? Stephen, we are guided by the authorities, so as soon as the authorities give the clearance, I'm sure you will hear something about Parish League. So at the moment, nothing can happen. Can't make any decision on that at the moment. Yeah, Clancy, so let's get back on that field now. So as you said, your speed was what you utilized quite efficiently.
Yeah, and fitness was never my problem. Max Martin at one time said to me, Clancy, you're Arab? Because the Arab don't have all them energy. Right? Because I remember we were doing a training session, right? And we left from Top Field up Scotts Hill, come all the way airport, come back down to Top Field. And Top Field at the time now is Yasco.
Yes, yeah. Go to Top Field.
So when you reach back to the northern side of the field, you had to sprint the length of the football field to the southern side. You know, so I took off. Just as I started. And Max said, no, you have to be an Arab. Only Arab have all them energy. You know.
Cheetah.
Yeah, man. You see, but the thing is, I used to train real hard.
That's what I was going to go to next. What was, just give us a little idea of what your training regiment would be like, you know, in keeping yourself.
Personally, I prepared myself because I would leave Grayson, run all the way down to Deep Bay, right? Most people know the Royal Antigua,
yeah.
right? Enter from the northern end, swim to the southern end, and then run back to Grayson. Right? And that used to be a regular routine. So during game time, fitness had never been my problem. So you say you get tired, so you couldn't make, no, right? I was always conditioned. So as a result of that, I was able to do what the ordinary individual who would not put in that time to do. So to get from here to there and back, I do that very easily.
Well, Johnny must interject with, you know, having said these things about my good friend Clarence. Clarence came in a time when Empire team was powerful. He's no easy pushover like you have now. When you beat Empire, you have carnival. You celebration that.
Yeah, they will say, how much you all give today? Nowadays, they ask, you all win? So that's the difference between Empire then and Empire now.
But just before we get off at this point, Taddy, and you would also, one of the things that have come out of this cheer by most of our guests, especially those who would have excelled at their relevant discipline, is that self-discipline within them to push themselves, to do that training, to do that, you know, that motivation, not waiting on somebody to call them out and say, come, let's train like what you have now, really.
I can't even get them still.
Exactly.
No, you see, right now, if the coach don't turn up and decide to say, well, do some in advance, guys would come to the field and sit down and wait until the coach come. No. You get whoever get the first start, do laps. So when the coach come now, right, and he go to a little warm-up thing, then we could go into practice because everybody would have had their share of preparation prior, right? You see, it's very difficult now, right? Well, then, because we never had the lighted field and all of that, right? So you come in at 4:30 and then you do some physical. Now, you know, during the football time, it's down September, December.
Staggered dark.
So it get dark very early. So after you would have done some physical, the light gone. Very little time left for any tactical preparation. Right? So what we had to do then was to decide which days we're going to put in the extra physical and which days we're going to deal with the tactical part of the game. Right? Because that's how you could do it. So to get in physical and tactical in one afternoon, right, apart from the light, is not the best thing. Because when guys are tired, they don't think very well. Because once you're tired, the brain will click as well. So that it means that anytime you want to get some tactical thing in, you have to do that first, and then you can resort to some physical at the end. Right? But from my personal point of view and what I've seen and gone through, if you start the physical early, right, then the tactical will come in as well.
Clancy, for you as a youngster, as you said, breaking into the team, making the youth team, the Antigua team, what was the community, the Gren community support like for you? How did that help you along your development in the football?
Well, Greece at that point was united. I mean, to the point whereby what was anybody considered outsiders, right? You couldn't get into Empire team easily. You had to be born and bred in Grace Farm because it was considered that this is a Grace Farm team, right? So that when you're doing well, it's no question you're getting the support of the community. And then, as I mentioned, from the school days, right, individuals who have seen me during the school games and so on, and even the youth team will recognize. I can't say I'm that flamboyant a player, but my job was always done. Right? If they say, look, this is the individual they want out of the game, you're out.
You're a sniper.
Yeah, I take you out. You're not in the game. Because, again, and when I think of it, I just had to laugh. When Robin Basker said, oh, Clancy, like sea beef and rock. That's how whoever I'm given to mark. That's the kind of pressure you're going to be under.
But John, I must tell you now, I had a man like that before him. My good friend Carver Brown. He was a man who was a hatchet man.
Carver, that was him?
Yes, man.
But while Tabby mentioned that, right, I can recall Empire Superstars and that a carnival in a recreation ground. Empire and Superstars, you don't know the crowd.
Exactly.
So I remember we played Jets the Wednesday and we were playing Superstars on the Sunday, right? So after my performance against Jets, the time it was Humpty and Pin, late Pin Hewlett, right? That was a combination of Jets. So
two dynamic strikers.
Yeah. So they said, Clancy, you take Humpty. I hear the fast are the two. So I said, good. So I get in there. When the game finished, I perform well. When the game finished, I get a standing ovation, man, lift me up, carry me off the field. Right? So then the Sunday now we're gonna play super. And I said, well, look, you see today, the sun burning me today now. I ain't leaving home. I'm reserving everything for this game this afternoon. And then next, when you reach up, I hear the coach say, well, Carver, rougher than you. So I want a rough man. So Carver get the edge in the starting 11. Right? It so happened that during the game, Mervyn, Mervyn had like a tricks and thing, And Carver was this kind of robust guy. If he's going to come at you, he's going to come at you. Right? And, Mervyn was using a little guile and slip him here, So in half time now, they say, well, can't see you come in. Mervyn for you. So I got in, and after that, well, as I mentioned, what happened? We're going to get locked down. Right?
The lock come in.
You lock number of it.
Yeah.
The lock come in.
Yeah, locked them over. So,
The vice grip.
yeah.
That's so exciting to hear. So,
I'm telling you,
now I'm in the studio, you know.
Hey, no,
That's why in the shop people
That's right.
no, I can tell you, because at that point, in order to keep me off of him, every time I come to him, he's sticking out the hand, you know. So I realized, okay, you push out the hand. So when you push out the hand, I'm underneath the hand. And it's a sweeping, you know. So, but I can tell you, individuals will say, hey, Clancy was never a flamboyant player. You know, people feel you have to flamboyant to say, good, right? But at the end of the day, whoever, I'm proud of that, you're taken care of.
John, I want to take him back to something he said earlier, you know. Because I remember he mentioned that Grace, our team was predominantly, Grace, they have to come from Gwen. But there's a guy named Pele from Power who sneaking Empire team. That caused a little thing.
Pele from where, sorry?
For Power.
A Parma Village.
Power. From Power, man. Pele. Taxi man, right name.
No, I think this.
I tell you, come from Power.
No, I think there was somebody who got in there before.
The guy named Pele. Or maybe somebody before him. But I remember Pele. Pele was outstanding.
Yeah,
Say good.
he was.
You know what I mean? Sneaking Empire team. Empire fans were too happy at the time.
I can
Because he said they like the
tell you.
They're the homegrown guys.
Yeah.
They like the homegrown guys.
Homegrown.
Yeah. Yeah, he got in, and then after that, this guy Woodhouse. Remember Woodhouse?
Yeah, Wood was the white guy.
Yeah, he got in as well. But outside of that, brother,
Can I get in?
I tell you, it was so tight. You remember Peter? He used to play for Spliff at one time. Peter Henry. Right? Guys were saying, no, Peter come from up a Grey Hill. Not Grey Sam. So there was a mistake.
Not even Grey Hill, right? Okay.
And I'm saying, guys were saying, Peter come off of Grey Hill, not Grey Sam.
So Peter was good enough.
Yeah, Peter was a
Very
good
good player. Very
Like,
good
he
player.
kicked the ball well. Right? So just to tell you how much the Grey Sam brand was hard to get into.
So you didn't need all these imports
No.
coming in.
No. And then at the time, you see, we used to play football Sunday morning from sunrise to sunset. Football playing King George every hour, every minute, a Sunday. Because you come in, you start the game, you get tired, you go home,
That's so over
you
down,
eat,
right?
somebody fit in, you know, and then it goes around. So you're tired, you leave, somebody fit in. And then when you feel you can go again, you go back on again for somebody. So the whole day. So it was an opportunity to see a number of young individuals coming through. Right?
No, you mentioned as we look to wrap up the football segment shortly.
John Clancy was a football coach to the national coach.
I know.
Yeah, wrap it up here before we get into that.
Football, that's my heart sport, man.
Okay, let me just get in this texter here. Warrell Richardson, he's saying Clancy was underrated. He was a very good player. So that's something.
That's a five-iron man saying that.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yeah, but he's a good guy.
Yeah. Oh,
He's a good guy.
he was a good player as well, you know.
Okay.
Clancy, who was some of the, how should I say? Okay, as a youngster, first, tell us who was some of the stalwarts, some of the veterans that you would have looked up to from your community. And as you started to get into your playing days, who were some of the other icons that would have developed around you in your playing days?
Well, I can recall the days Alfred Scout Christian, Vern Edwards Sr., Keith Lee Shepherd.
Great case.
Yeah, Keith Lee Shepherd. You have Micah. No, Micah was in my time. You had Dexter, Dexter Garden. Right?
Cricketer footballer.
Yeah, Jerome Tittle. Well, the Tittle brothers, Jerome and Pomeroy. Right? Those were the original guys on Empire. And for them, I can recall Jerome used to say, by the time you see the white line, which is the 18-yard box, it's time for the goalkeeper to dive. Right? So he was an individual who never really worried about getting inside the 18-yard box. Right? Paul Davis, Jill,
Steel Jill.
Steel Jill. Those
Oh,
guys,
striking the ball.
yeah, those guys can kick the ball so well. And again, the ball they're kicking now, right, is a far different ball, because we used to have to kick the old leather ball that has to strap it up. You know, take the tube out if it's flat.
Oh, yeah, that's somebody talking about that.
Yeah, and put the ball, and then that leather ball, and that, when you hear, you play a wet match, and the leather get wet, and then it dry out. For you to head that ball,
About
if
heavy.
you do not heavy, boy, that's like a black picture on the forehead. Right? But you had to learn the technique of heading. Right? Because you see, some guys would go like, you know, no, you had to learn to go back, lock, and nod, right? Because if you don't nod that ball and it just bounce on the forehead, it felt as if, well, hey, your head is going to fall off.
Train crash.
Yeah, and it worse if that strapped part of the ball hit your forehead. You know, you don't want to hit that again for the rest of the day. Right? So you had to learn that technique of heading the ball and not allowing the ball to hit your head. Right? So you find the technique of doing that. Plus, when it rains, right, and the field is wet, right, the ball get extra heavy.
You know?
And to kick that ball out of the mud, right, you have to have a good technique of kicking the ball out of the mud, because the weight plus the mud in it, that was another thing to get.
But I know you played in the era with the great Kess.
Oh, yes.
She was one of my favorite players, the great Kess.
I've never seen him tired.
Well, I was about to tell you that thing. I hear you talk about your fitness. Kess is was the fittest guy I ever known in my life.
I've never seen him tired, Kes. Yeah, you know, everybody have the extracurricular activities, right? And you will see Kes indulging in a few drinks tonight. Tomorrow morning, he's the first person you're going to see in the park with a ball, and you get some stones and put them apart, and you see practicing to dribble between the ball and all of that. Or sometime in the afternoon when he's first out with his ball, you see a lot, he encouraged all the youngsters to come and get the ball. So you imagine, you know, youngsters kicking, everybody want to kick the ball, so for him to keep control of that ball with all these amount of individuals trying to get it.
That's what made him move.
That tells you how well he learned to dribble and things.
Well, you just said something there, Clancy, that stood out to me. You talk about he just put the stones. And I'm seeing now these guys don't have their fancy cones. They feel like nothing can happen. The coach is not here, the bag is not here. And here you're saying now, you know, just being innovative, creative. You just use, and you know, same principles. So, you know, again.
Yeah, well, you know, just like when I was a youngster. See, now, young people go to the store and buy a nice toy, you know. In our time, you had to make your own toy, right? We would get the old red herring box, right, and a couple of milk tin, and cut them and make wheels, and the red herring box would be the bus. And in those times, bus just had the square like that with some little strips between it, and a material, a cloth, as the window, right? So we used to use the red herring box and make that, right? And imagine, you know, from that you make bus, you make backhoe, right?
It's a back you take the fancy.
How you
Back
make
on
a
new thing,
scooter? No,
Something like that. You know, back you make back.
we used to tell you, we used to get them stuff back on the soul, you know, right? And we used to get, and one thing we used to do as well, with every youngster, you have to learn to do your wheel, right? I see a guy, it was day before yesterday, right?
With the wheeler?
With the wheeler. Hey, that reminds me of good old days.
Very good old days,
The guy do well, you know, because you had to have control, so you can guide it and turn corner and all of that with the wheeler, you know. But again, you know, you had to be creative in those days, right? Because there was nothing ready-made for you.
Lance, before we get out of football, tell us about your coaching days, a national team and all that.
Well, after playing, I got hurt in 1976, Empire Param. This guy Jew used to play central defense for
the guy, big guys.
Yeah, and we're kicking from south to north, and I was going up, and he was coming around like this. So I turned. After he came around, I turned. Right. So the ball was now on my right foot. Right. And then next thing you know, all I know, I had a hit on the left leg. Right. Kind of chop kind of thing. But I didn't want to go down then, because I felt I could just pull and go, right? But the way how it locked my legs, the scissors kind of stuff, eventually I had to go down. So it really hurt my ankles, twisted my ankles. And then in those days, there was no physio on the bench. There was no stretcher and all of that, right?
So two man just lift you up and carry?
No, lift me up, nobody lift me up. You know, when there was schoolboy, it would be up there by fire station.
Yep.
I came off on that side of the field because I couldn't continue. And I had to hop on my right leg until I reached the west gate down by Government House. Then somebody came and said, okay, they'll give me a ride to the hospital. Right? I didn't get. So from that, right, that's why I eventually give up playing. Because if I run and this left foot step and anything, and even when you go like that, that's it for the next couple of minutes. So after that, I decided, look, I'm still going to be involved. So I took up coaching. I went to the Brazil Football Academy, right? And on return from that, I became the Antigua national football coach. Right, in 90.
Going to the Brazil Academy, that was through who? Through the,
for training.
Through the Football Association?
No. This was done through Mr. Spencer, Gordon Spencer, and Empire Club.
Oh, okay.
Right, because Spencer was then manager.
Okay.
Right, and then after coming back and taking over the national team, we won the Leeward Island tournament. Then we won the OECS championship for the first time.
Okay.
We didn't make the finals at the first Shell Cup. Out of possible 8 points, we made 6. We conceded 1 goal in that tournament, where we lost to Guadeloupe 1-0. The last 5 minutes to go. I had nightmare over that.
You have to know?
Yeah. I had nightmare over that because the game plan was well executed except for that final moment when that individual refused to carry out the instruction. The instruction was...
Wait. You must say refuse. I refuse, I just didn't carry it out properly.
He didn't execute it properly.
Yeah. Whichever way you want to put it now.
Refuse is a strong word to me.
No. He refused because if he had done it, right?
Many man just forget.
No, you don't forget. He wanted to exhibit what was considered exceptional skills.
Okay.
Right? And
But you want to show off?
you use your choice. But then it was at that point that we lost ball possession, right? And the goal resulted. Right? Because we said we are not gonna go as visitors and say wait to see where the home team is gonna be using. Our strategy was to take the fight to them early, push them on the defense.
Put them on the back foot early.
Right? So they don't run at us. And we were doing that very well. We had a couple of opportunities as well that went to begging. Right? So all we really wanted was a draw. Right, so make 7 out of the 8, and I'm not going to call his name, but He was considered one of Antigua's top midfield players. And that happened. And with 5 minutes in the game, we lost 1-0. Right? Anyhow, after that, well, one of the things that I walked away from football, because football, like I mentioned, was my heart sport. When I used to coach the Antigua national team, I was never given a cent. This is how I love football, right? And for me, coaching football is still there. My brother, we do tailoring. And my brother would say, Clancy, how can you leave people work here and say you're going to coach the Antigua national team for nothing, right? That didn't bother me because I love football. I wanted to be there. So I did it. And then after we won the OECS championship, I was never invited to the presentation.
You were never invited to the presentation?
I just said that. I was never invited to the presentation. Up to this day, I can't tell you, well, the team was given this bottle of water. Right?
We'll leave that for another day, because that sounds strange. But
no, that's fact. Dr. Perry was the assistant coach then, Percival Perry. He got an invitation. The excuse was they couldn't find me. Fancy map? In Antigua, in a Grace farm. Anyhow.
Come to the tailor shop, I will find you.
Oh, easily. Easily. Because if I'm not there, I'm at the tailor shop. And I understood that Bernard Percival then was the Minister of Sport. So they gave the impression as if, well, I just didn't turn up. Right. So he said, well, hey, he wants to know why Clancy didn't turn up. I embarrassed him because I wasn't there for the presentation. So the next morning, he called me into his office. And he said, well, look, give me one good reason why you weren't at the presentation. So I just said to him, presentation? He said, last night. I said, I don't know. I said, if anybody can testify that they gave me an invitation to this presentation, then you have all right to do what you think best. Right? He said, okay, he will investigate it. Well, I don't know, it might be still going on.
Pardon me, I didn't hear that last part.
The investigation might be still going on.
Okay, that means you haven't heard any word on that. Clancy, okay, anything else you want to say on your coaching career before we just...
Well, proudly, I remember Empire got relegated. I can't remember.
You mean football coach?
I also coach Empire. No?
Eh?
I coach Empire. Hold on. I coach Empire, Five Island, Lion Hill, Attackers, Rangers.
Say are they relegated?
No. Certainly not. No. I got relegated with Empire.
So you don't want to cast that?
No.
You're the first one.
I'll explain that. We got relegated. You remember that Soccerama and all of that? So we won out this Soccerama, go 2 rounds of first division, unbeaten, come back to Premier Division. That is a 30 non-stop win.
30-0 streak.
Yeah, 30 and none.
I'm listening.
Right, back to Premier Division. Right. Well, I don't know anybody else have done that. So whatever fault I would have had.
You went a little fast there a while ago. So you're speaking after you got relegated.
Yeah. We got relegated like this year.
Okay, and then you said you went on that 30.
And during that same year, from the Soccerama, going straight over.
You just had a steady incline. You're like an aeroplane taking
just
off.
start going 30-3-0. Non-stop.
I want to say something about that tonight, John. I am so disappointed. You know why? Every time you partner you cause everybody so jokey. When you're the coach, everybody gets so jokey. I did a Clancy start his relegation business. So V and I watching and apologize to you. Yeah, I'm surprised to partner. I didn't know that.
Look, I tell you, find out which coach that ever coach Empire.
That's what, they're going to get them first?
No. Win 30 non-stop game.
Clancy, you're right. You focus on the positive. See, that's what we're going to do.
But the positive outweigh the negative.
Marvin Paul is saying, shout out to Clancy Mack, my grammar school physical education teacher. So that's someone that probably used to.
Yeah, I was at the Antigua Grammar School for 12 years.
Okay, before we close off the football segment a little, Clancy, tell me in your playing days, the team, which team you would you look forward to playing, or which team you would not want to lose to?
Two teams, Jets and School. And then they later come Superstar. School later become Superstar.
Okay.
Right? So Jets and Superstars are School, whichever one of them. Those two teams, oh boy. Whenever, I remember we had a one from School, right? Hello. I mean, about 5 years later, guys still remind you, hey, you remember School beat you 1-0, right? So you know for sure, you don't want to lose.
You don't want to go through that again?
No.
That's the nature of sports, John. But I would have thought 5 when I was his rival. I would have thought 5.
That's why I was
and Hoppers, you know?
No.
So you want to lose Hoppers?
If we lose
You want to lose Hoppers?
me no mind Hoppers.
You don't mind? You don't want the Empire man that the mind Hoppers beat you?
No, me no mind. But they never really,
Wasn't no threat.
no. You see, at the time, Empire was the grandfather of football, because we used to go and play football, 5 Island, right, and play with them, so they could then mature. We just far as Freetown, right? Go and play football there. We used to go around to different areas and play with different clubs, give them the opportunity to, get
So I agree. So you say, basically what I say now, Empire was like a billion block of football in Antigua.
Yeah.
You were like the Globetrotters.
Yes.
And up to now, I can tell you, ask any individual at the time, who's the team they want to play against and who they want to beat.
Empire.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been entertained or being entertained by the legend Clancy Mack, and he has been going through his early days growing up in the Grace Farm community. The Gren, let's get it right. Exhibiting his football skill, telling us how he would have started from the breadline and eventually working in his way into the right wing. Was it right wing? Or?
Started right wing and then eventually wing back.
Okay, started at the right wing back, and then worked his way into the Antigua, the Antigua team, and also his managerial experiences. And so that's the first segment of our show, and then we're gonna move into another part where we'll now start to look at when I put it this way, Taddy take him over into to umpiring, but we'll get into that. So let's just recognize our platinum sponsor, the ACB Caribbean group, and we want to say congratulations to them on their new branding, new change of vision. And we want to encourage persons, for all of your banking and financial need, be sure to visit them at ACB Caribbean. And also we want to recognize Carol and Brands for Less there for all of your clothing and the different accessories. You could check them out there. Seco Pharmacy right there. And as you could see, our water, our juice, all these we do encourage you to patronize along the way. All right. So Clancy, we're coming back now, and you just enumerated your football powers, and so I think most of the youngsters, maybe including myself, we would better highlight you or know you for your exploits on the cricketing umpiring scene. And I know the last time you were here, you were very vehement when I made that little joke about what is it? Can't see.
Yes.
Can't see, and you expounded on that. But just before we get into that, just listening to Clancy there, Taddy, I was listening to Mervin's show on Monday, and just listening to Clancy just enumerate, even that 30-0 record, And one of the things I think came out on Mervin's show last week, Monday, was really the need for us to document these accomplishments, these achievements. I remember hearing, I think it was Cornelia saying, a lot of our youngsters, they make 100 and they think they're the first to make 100, or they score a hat-trick and they think they're the first to score a hat-trick, because the records are not there. It's in your head. Clancy knows what he knows. You know what you know. But if I didn't sit down and hear Clancy speak about that 30-0 streak, coming from regulation, climbing, I would not know that. I didn't even know that Clancy eventually had managed the Antigua team and won the OECS and the Leeward Islands tournament. And so I think I just want to lend my voice, and really probably I think the Ministry of Sports really would have to step in here and maybe, I don't know, just maybe appoint a couple of retired teachers and let them just go around and sit with the different sporting bodies, enthusiasts, and really let us start to develop an encyclopedia, a mirage of our history, because a lot of our youngsters don't know, and if you don't know, you can't appreciate. Because just hearing Clancy talk about putting those stones there, just the other day I saw the coach telling my son his car has a problem, so he's not going to come to practice, and it just sounded like there will be no practice because the coach is not coming. And as Clancy is saying, the coach is not there. There has to be some senior members. You could still come and do your little stuff. You understand? But I just wanted to get that in just a little bit, where I believe that it's something that needs to happen, and I think it has been talked about quite a while. But I just want to lend my voice to say I believe we need to get something where we start to document these achievements, these accomplishments, because if we don't, when persons go, they're going to go with that, and then it's going to be he say, she say, I say. You understand? So I just want to get that in. Yes, Clancy. So you were at sports games, I understand. That's my little history. And Clancy, Taddy, take you up and carry you somewhere. Tell us how this how you got into move from your started traverse from your love of football into that umpiring field of cricket.
Well, when I started at the sports and games, then we were on the Chedry. There was a building,
Easter
Chedry.
Okay.
Right, that's where we were. And
Audit.
yeah, where the audit used to be, yes. And Fitzroy Brand, who was then the director of sports and games, right? He was very adamant that everybody must teach everybody. So you used to have the netball coaches, the cricket coaches, basketball. So on Wednesdays, we used to have what is then the in-service training. So that like this Wednesday, Taddy would take cricket, right? And he would teach the footballers, everybody else about cricket. So that at the end of the day, he would have been a rounded individual, because when he started, whatever school you were appointed to, then all the sport within that school,
You had to
yeah,
control that discipline.
you had to control all of that, right? And from that, Taddy organized with Fitzroy and the Parish League cricket, and obviously Taddy has always been one of the individuals who look out for officials. I would say that, because he wanted good umpires, or the best umpires available. So Pat White then would come on the Saturday mornings, right, and he would do the tutoring, and that's how I got involved in cricket, right, having gone through the training and knowing about the laws of cricket, until one Saturday morning Taddy couldn't find an umpire to go see the Grove.
Couldn't find an umpire to go where?
See the Grove.
What happened?
Because guys, not
Bus
well,
one of days on there.
no boss want to see the Grove then now. And not only that, few people would be brave enough to go to see the Grove.
Mark, want me to go on
Right.
to see the Grove?
Because it was the saying then, once they weren't satisfied with your officiating, right, be it cricket, football, what have you,
You can't get a vote.
then you won't leave that easily. You would leave, but not that easily. right? And they would say, they would put common term, say, put Cassie tick in a bag, right? And beat you, right? So guys were afraid to go see the Grove. So Taddy said, Clancy, you have to go see the Grove, no, you have to do the match with me, see the Grove. I said, all right, no problem. So I went.
But not to cut you, but Taddy, why would you send the young man first time to see the
Well, see,
Grove?
no, John. See, Cedar Grove's, like I've experienced it. Cedar Grove, like any other village, they like to lose. When they take the losing, more seriously in a way, on the teams, on the villages. But see, I want to get an umpire out here who I think was pretty competent. You get it, John? I want an umpire out here who I think was competent to do the job. Right, John? And in that intern exchange and the Saturday morning training we did, and they what part where we come after, I think they was just certain position in the training. I wanted my body part to assess them. Because Pat to do the exams and so. They want Pat to do, you know what I mean? So, as a matter of fact, we brought David Archer from Barbados, who was a senior test umpire for the West Indies, so to the training for the umpires. He said, Parish, he don't like mediocrity. I said, Brandon, we don't like that. So Clancy was really that good. I can tell you, Clancy not taking any credit for what he achieved. I can tell you what. Because when Clancy came first, this is going to say he football, he never cricket.
Yes, boy, they say, no, you're football.
Yes, well, in case, you're football, he never cricket. But Clancy was serious. So Clancy borrowed my last book and went home and studied for the next week exam. Clancy get 100, or they just said in the cricket, they get 70 something or so. Because most people play the game, they don't study the game. They don't know rules. They don't know how to the game. They think, they hear somebody say something, or they say something, that's the most in the world law. Somebody, they hear this and say, they don't know the world law. And Clancy was the man, he wanted to know. And Clancy did so well. I said, look, Clancy wanted to do the match with Cedar Grove. I know he will let me down. See, he's a usual umpire. And anybody can make mistake, they get with me. Okay. You know, like nowadays, you have some DRS and DSRS, and the other tenor, you know what I mean? But I wanted to do the DRS a bit later with Clancy. But I wanted Clancy to go to the match. Because when you do a match in Cedar Grove, they come out good, you know. You say that, hey, the umpire did good. Okay, you can't go Cedar Grove. I tell John, I went to umpire cricket match with Cedar Grove School League, you know. And when I went, the first thing they said, I don't want Alan to know to I don't know how time, well, can't win this match. That's the first reaction, John, but guess what happened? They don't buy the shop. So I did the match alone. Cedar Grove won the match. The next week, I followed the guy cool, Johnny could jump on the gears on Cedar Grove. Yeah. When they said, I don't want you, but if you I can't win. And I don't buy the match made 1 week before the run now. But that's the nature of Cedar Grove for you. So I know, if you pass the test of Cedar Grove, you go anywhere else. So that's why I want to Clancy to go to test him out.
Clancy, what do you think drove you? Because as Taddy said, you're coming from a football background mainly, and the other guys, you know, they would have played cricket or had some cricket experience. But Taddy said you were able to shine above them. What was your motivation then?
Well, I'm the individual who believe that there are thousands of foot soldiers who die in wars, but they only remember general, whoever he is, died in this war. So my feeling on that is that I don't want to be no foot soldier. They will remember the general died in the war. Right? So as such, it's always been my ambition, whatever it is, I want to reach the very top of it. Right? So obviously got the opportunity to get in, and then Pat would say to me, well, look, you get qualified, then you can do Leeward Island matches, and then eventually regional matches, and then eventually international matches. Right? So once I was given that possible pathway, then obviously I'm going to go for that. Right? And this is how after, I decide. And then again, like I said, I just walk away from my hard sport because of what had transpired then, as I explained earlier. Right. So now I'm now giving my full attention to cricket. Right? So I have to give Taddy kudos as well as the late Fitzroy and Pat White as the trainer, right? Because then I was first in the Leeward Islands preliminary, third in the West Indies final written, and third in the West Indies oral and practical exam, right? And I was qualified in 1982. I started doing first class cricket from 1984 until 2012. You do the maths.
29 years, yeah.
Right? So, obviously, and I really enjoyed it, right? Because obviously, I've always attempted and to do what I considered my very best when it comes to the game. Because I've never really seen Taddy versus Clancy, right? I see players playing, and I'm guided by the rules of cricket. So whatever it says that you have to get, you will get, and what you have to get, you will get. Right? So I've never gone with this thing within you, I'm going to favor this one against that one. Because the minute you take up that kind of position, it's going to show up blatantly.
But Clancy, I hear you saying that you don't take it up, but I'm sure a lot of accusations have been hurled at you from time to time, as in any official, for favoring one team or the other. How do you handle those sort of mud being thrown at you?
Well, certainly, you have to have the self-confidence, right? And you are not to allow either individuals to sway you in giving them what you want. So that you say it, I can't stop my ears from hearing, but I don't pay attention to it, right? When I'm out there, even after the game, let's say I'm doing a 3-day match or 4-day match, I'm not listening to no radio, I'm not reading no newspaper, right? Because from outside, they're giving you a different view of what is happening inside, right? Because I can tell you, one time I'm listening to a game, and I hear the commentator saying, the ball pitched down the leg side, going further away, coming back with the arm. Right? So I'm satisfied that a lot of commentators give you their opinion on what is happening or what should happen, not necessarily giving you a ball-to-ball description on the field. And I want to give you some homework. Next time you go listen commentary, walk with your radio, right? Listen the commentary and watch the game, and tell me if you're convinced that what you're hearing here is what you're seeing out there.
Well, Clancy, I'm doing a little commentary, and Taddy has been very much on my case, telling me to be very careful. You see that third camera there? Taddy tell me that is now here to pick up everything that is happening on the field. So if I'm going to say he hit the ball at the leg side and the ball is blazing 2 points, I'm going to,
So that's what John said, I was listening to the game just the other day. Our good friend Curtly was giving comments and bouncing. I had to watch it home and tell you, look, I'm listening and watching the game, So when the commentators chat, man says, correct the man, some of the things, what they say, they're not true. I watching the game, and you're the analyst. He's going to correct that.
Right.
So what Johnny said is true. I put Johnny in the queue. So I tell them, people watching now, and I don't really say anything, and people believe you. Okay, you can see.
Yeah.
But I want to say something, John. Guys, let the Clancy talk with the umpiring business. Because like you ask Clancy, people might think and people say about him. I emphasize in training. If you check the rules, the cricket laws tell you, umpire's sole job and main job is to conduct fair play.
He's responsible for fairness as far as the Lhasa cricket is
So it doesn't matter
concerned.
who we played against. See, like I tell them all the time when I play for Antigua and so on, I never want Patway to play in our game.
You don't want Patwa to
No. Patway too good. It's honest. Hey, Patway is very good, you know. I Clancy the man, you know, I don't play, when Clancy don't play up, Clancy don't play when I was playing, they make up with John. But I don't want Patway to play in my game. I know people going to win. Because Patway, Patway negative, you know. No, hey, if anything, you put it on the side. Put it on the side. And that was Patway. Patway is one of the best umpires playing cricket with. Patway was real good. And I don't talk about it. You know, so I say, Clancy came with that mold with Patway, that same kind of discipline. So I believe, and I know for a fact, Clancy was a real good umpire. Very unfortunate not to have made the test circuit and all that. But John, I play some matches again, plenty of umpire test cricket, right? And they kind of miss things in the back of the field. You tell yourself, we umpire test cricket, but you know, they're human beings. You know what I mean, John? But no. You don't get with it easily, guys. There's something in this DRS nonsense.
But even with the DRS. But Clancy, let me stick the focus on you. Do you get, how can I say it? When you're umpiring, do you get involved in the game with the players? You know, they might throw a slang at you. Do you respond, or do you just keep that straight face and just stick to your job? How did you go about?
No, it's always good to have communication with the players, you know. Just like, hey, we're all enjoying the game, right? Not that they're over here and you're over there, you know, because individuals do not like the big stick thing, eh? You get along easier once you communicate with them. But I've always advocated, you play, I'm the umpire. So I tell them that, so they know that there's no way they're gonna influence me as far as my decision making, right? Because you can't play an umpire at the same time. So you do one, I do the other, right? And it has always been a thing where they recognize that I'm not going to accept no verbal abuse on the field, indecent language is not going to be allowed on the field, right? And when I make a decision, be it right or wrong,
Stick with it.
right? That's it, and I don't hesitate and afraid. Now the thing is, I see umpires giving individual out like that. Right? Pointing like that. Now, who's here won't see this. So, the law says raise the index finger above the head. So when you see that, if you miss this, then you can't miss this.
So there can be no ambiguity. There can be no.
None. And then the thing is, it's your body language has a lot to do with it. You're convinced he's out. If he's not out, you just simply say not out. And then I don't encourage, why not? Because once you start to giving reasons, that explanation, right, then it's going to make your day a misery. Because if I say to you, that ball was going down the leg side, and you felt it was going straight, then obviously we're on the raw part, right? Because you feel this way, I feel this way, and you personally believe that is what's going to happen, right? So I just merely would say to individuals, if I'm going to say, when I say not out, and you ask why, I just say I'm not convinced.
I want to just go back a bit to your umpiring on the local scene as when Taddy drafted you into the Parish League circuit. Now, we all here, everybody that sit here from all different communities, one thing these teams never like to do is lose. Everybody play hard. How did that competitiveness, I think that's what we refer to it as, on that field in the Parish League circuit really prepare you for well, I think by the time you went TV was now on the field. How did it prepare you for that bigger moment?
Well, certainly, you know, there's a lot of pressure in the game when individuals don't know or not very familiar with the laws of the game, right? So they're gonna appeal for every and anything, right? So this always this constant bombarding of how is that for nearly everything, things that there's no need for, but as umpire you have to answer every appeal, right? So you're constantly saying, well, yes, that is out or not out, right? So under this, and once the player is satisfied that your decisions are not influenced by whoever appeal, how strong the appeal, right, or who the team is, once they're satisfied that whatever decision you're going to give, it's because of the way you see it. This is what I saw happening, and this is my decision based on that. So over a period of time, the teams will recognize, well, look, once you see Clancy, it's no favoritism here, right? I get a lot of bashing for that, because even I can recall vividly 1993, Pakistan West Indies, when Dickie Bird got hit on the tailbone. I went in the test match with Dickie Bird the afternoon, and second over, I'm on the field, Lara out, Keith Arterton out, like before.
Clancy, you've done your career early, man.
Honestly, I felt there might be some kickback on that as well. But when you watch what was happening, as a matter of fact, let me give you that. The afternoon, leaving recreation ground with my first son, Echo Kareem, I had to hold him close to me, because the crowd was like, "Hush, everybody come out to see Lara bat," and Clancy gave him out. Right? And in those days, the replay would come on the night, when you're watching the replay on the night. Right. And
did you watch the replay, Clancy?
me? No, I tell you when I'm umpiring, I don't watch, listen radio, don't watch,
I was testing you, man. I was testing you there a while ago. I said that.
No, man, those are deterrents. So, having watched that, and they were convinced that they were out, John Jarvis was the only person who came back to me the morning I walked into recreation ground and said, "Clancy, the man out for you." So I said to John, I gave them out yesterday. Right?
Exactly.
Because you see, it was the crowd came to see Lara, and as far as they're concerned, he should never be given out unless the ball hit the stumps down. Right? And if you were to really look at that, if I had not given those decisions, it was obvious I was not in the park. Right? So, you're going to get bashing. You do it right, you get bash. You do it wrong, you get bash. So you have to be the individual who's just going to go, because inner strength and words don't matter. Because I can tell you, it got as far as guys even telling you how your parents make you. Right? It get that far. And a lot of individuals do not want to withstand and cannot withstand those personal abuse. Right? And you see this thing, this cancer mark, right? We hear everybody saying it. If I'd follow my lawyer, I'd probably own a house on the hilltop, right? Because he said, "Clancy, you cannot allow people to make those sort of aspersion and do nothing." But I said, "Look, hey, I'm thicker than that, So I let that pass, right? But then I'll say so now, and I say it publicly. Dave Lestapane started this whole thing, right? Because I gave Richie out the last ball of the day, Windwards versus Leewards. All they saw was Richie just pushing the pad, right? And they see nothing else. See, the umpire has to watch the ball until it is dead. Spectators watch the first impact at the ball and what happens there, right? So Rich pushed forward, the ball balloon from the pad, bat here, hit the bat, and then Junior Murray took the catch. So all they saw, the pad going forward, then there's an appeal, up goes Clancy's hand, right? So Dave Lestapine come on the radio the next morning. Who is the umpire who gave Richie out? Because then obviously Richie's Antiguan, Clancy's Antiguan, I should not have given him out, and more so that last ball of the day, right? And then Betty Livingston, we used to call she Betty Bird, call in and say, oh, I can't see Clancy. And that's how that whole thing started, right? If you go and ask them what out Richie got, right?
You have a clue.
Not even five can tell you what out Richie get. 5 out of 5. They don't have a clue.
That's why I say something, John. I can get to it. Because this, can you ask a question? I know for a fact, I can say no for a fact. Clancy and Pat White, they suffer because of the honesty. I can tell you that there's a trend right now, West Indies cricket team, and they start to fall apart when they start to have neutral umpires. I can tell you the truth. See, when baseman umpire was getting to get them out, it's Shelley Shield so. They favor the players. But Pat White and Clancy, they will favor you as man. So
I get a bashing for that.
Then they give you the charm guy come from Antigua Islands, and they suffer for that. Because the old islands, they're giving their guys out. I can tell you that they played against them, you know. You want to kind of cricket they playing so. But not Clancy, that's what I tell you earlier, you know. I don't want Pat White umpire by Pat White. I can't break no window, they don't umpire miss it up, but that Pat White let me know. And I love that. Because those guys do a fair job. Right. You know what I'm saying too. And they suffer because of that.
But just to spring it to a positive, Clancy, what would you say would be the pinnacle or your greatest achievement in your umpiring career?
Well, obviously, being afforded the opportunity to stand in a test match, because that's the pinnacle of cricket umpiring, right? Given that, and prior to that, I'd done South Africa, West Indies, ODI, right? So, with that, you know, you feel, well, look, hey, you're getting the, and as a matter of fact, I will tell you, having done the afternoon at a test match, Pakistan, West Indies, and based on my performance there, which I knew I did my utmost best, I was then referred to a comment from Jeff Boycott, because he was asked the question if he was to assess Clancy's performance this afternoon on a scale of 10, where would you rate him? He said he would give me a 9, because there was an appeal I turned down for Desmond Haynes, and he felt, well, look, that could have gone either way, and if I said no, he don't have a problem with it. So he's giving me 9 out of 10 for my performance in the game. So I felt, well, here I am now. I'm gonna get
Jeff working a tough guy, you know, right?
Tough guy, yeah.
Tough guy.
So having had that kind of comment, since I felt it's gonna be my stepping stone then. But then 94, here comes the international panel, where they choose a number of umpires. See, previously it used to be once the game is in West Indies, then West Indian umpires would get the chance, right? So, having performed the way I did, I felt, well, next time around, I'm going to be up front.
Right.
you know, because
So you felt with this whole elite panel of umpires that would have kind of put you a little further back.
yeah, it does. And I recall one individual, when I was about to take the field, came up to me. Clancy, you sure ready for this? You ready for this, Clancy? As if, well, they felt within them they had no choice then the afternoon, because I was the third umpire,
Right.
because then there was no TV and all of that. Right? But I had stand by in test match for 10 years prior to that, and nobody felt there was a problem. Right? So I said, if I'm ready, man, I'm ready for that, grabbing that with my two hands. So I went in.
Did when you were walking out, did you feel, how was that feeling? Did you feel butterflies? Did you feel?
No bother.
No, you're running out to the middle?
Hey, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get the opportunity, because I knew I had the potential to go. Right? But was never given.
Okay, I mean, I'm not jumping all over, but it's like, say, 10 years. Just, as you say, being that third umpire, not getting that opportunity. What were you starting to get frustrated, or you were just saying, hey, my time will come, my time will come?
I've always felt, I'm going to have my turn. So I didn't give up. And this is where I find right now a lot of umpires. See, it's even a little harder now to get up because of this panel, and all of that. But I maintain, if you want to do it, then you have to hang in. Nothing will come easy, And this thing, give it to them because they're young. It's foolishness, in my view, right? Because if he works to get it, he will appreciate it more, right? But if you give it to him, okay. And this is one of the problems I find as well, why the standard generally is going down. Because guys get an easy walkway in because he's young. And you find that they're going to move somebody else to put him in. And they both performing on the same level. So if you're going to take one out for the other, then the other has to be doing better than the other. Right? But they say, no, they're young, so it's time to give young people. Right? I don't have a problem with young people coming forward, but don't just tell me that the criteria is going to be because they're young.
You're youthful.
Right? And young, as far as I'm concerned, is in inverted commas. Number, make the difference.
But I want to say something, John, again. Okay, see, when I tell you about the Clancy and the Pathway, unfortunate thing, I've been reminded of this match that Kurt Campbell's played in Trinidad. I just called him a shine. Okay, I don't shine by in life. But guess what? The Trinidad umpire wanted the Trinidad player on the team, and now one named Tony Gray. And he went ambush out of the scene.
Right.
So I'm saying to you, those kind of things happen a long time ago to sabotage our guys. But Clancy was never in that kind of nonsense. Like I say, like Clancy, my kids, my Pathway is like Clancy's brother, but you know, big man. You know, big man that.
We're close like that.
If I want to do some more law, I call up Clancy and Pat. Okay, want to get a man up to scratch with things aware than me know. So they want to call him up. Hey, how this go, how that go, you know what I mean, John? And that's what I operate. Because I know the guys no line side or outside in. They're like privy council.
Well, that's true. We use Clancy a lot when we have our softball issues. We always transfer Clancy. Now, Taddy, we're going to wrap up shortly, but I know you said you wanted to speak something about the DRS with
Yeah, it's like Clancy, I see this DRS thing and I'm watching it, but I think they're changing now. There's something to change it, because if the umpire say not out, and the ball is touching the stump, he obeys that. When you say out, and he just touching the stump, he's out. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously, the technology, I think personally, right? Everybody thinks, it's the best thing. Right? For me, some of it is taking the human aspect out of the game of cricket. Right? Now, the DRS would say, if more than half of the ball is hitting the stump, it would be the umpire's call.
Umpire's call.
Right? So if the ball is just gonna barely brush the outside, then and the umpire
Says
say
not out.
then it remains.
It's still umpire.
Yeah. But if it's gonna hit full,
Yeah.
then the umpire would have to.
What my argument, Clancy, my contention? When the ball hit the stump, he hit the stump.
True.
True. My
And
contention.
I think that's where the ICC is now going back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, Taddy, I think it has to do with because I think they're basically saying, okay, the DRS is not 100% perfect.
Well, the Clancy say
So
leave it to
that
the umpires
little-
then, no?
that
Like Clancy say
little,
leave it to the umpires then.
Clancy, a quick question I wanted to ask you too, and that's the same. Do you think, with all the advent of technology, if it has made the umpiring job easier now, or you think it's more difficult for the umpires?
It's more difficult now for the
I
umpire,
believe so too.
right? Because
Well, when it's more difficult, if I'm at school, like I can't make a decision, the man run out, I just do, I do, easy for me.
right, not only that, but when you were at the stumps like that, and the ball is played, you'd have to get square
Yep.
in order to judge the run out. No, you don't have to do that anymore, you know,
I noticed that too.
right? All you do, you just make the signal,
Yeah.
and the third umpire does that, right? Obviously, there's some cases where not even the technology is going to give you 100% correct decision,
Conclusiveness, yes.
right? So that the umpires, if you check it, still do a very outstanding job, right? Because you're seeing it once. Boom. Now the technology, let's slow it down. Roll it, frame. Go back, go right, look from the left, right?
Sometimes you see they have a magnifying glass to see
Absolute,
if
yeah.
the fingers were able
Right?
to get onto that.
No, umpires do not have that facility. Right? So you have to make a decision based on what you saw at the time, and you're only going to see it once, right? So you have to make the decision. And I'm satisfied that the majority of times the umpires get it right.
Might be a repetitious question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think with the advent of the technology, the game is better than, as you just said, as an umpire, you're giving your honest opinion, boy, that ball don't look like it's going to hit, not out?
I don't think so. I don't think it's better. Because just the same way, you have to wait, right, to go through all this frame by frame and angles and all of that. And then in the end, you will still say, well, the decision of the umpire is the correct one, right? So now, if when we didn't have that, the game ran smoothly, quickly, you don't have to wait. When you check, each team has what, 3 options, right?
Three views,
Now, if you go through that, remember people complaining about individuals don't want to watch test cricket because it's too slow, it's boring, right? With all this technology, it is slowing the game even further, right? Some of it, obviously, there are merits. It has merits in some areas, right? But I just felt it would have gone a little too far, right? In, as I mentioned, taking out the human aspect, right? Because let's face it, you know, the same guys who complain, the umpire say not out this time, right? They bat on. Next time around, they're out. The umpire say no, they bat on. I can tell you of an incident where I hear a batsman admitting to the wicketkeeper that he got an edge, right? And the umpire say no. And then the individual say, oh boy, the umpire cheat. Let's ask the question, who cheat? The umpire or the batsman? He's looking around and he's going to admit to you, yes, he got an edge and he will walk, right? And the umpire looking for a blade, not satisfied that he got a touch. And then you're not blaming the man that admit to you.
I tell you, he the thief.
This is the umpire.
Yeah, you're blaming the umpire.
Mom and Herbert say good afternoon, guys. Ed Lewis, Pat White, and Clancy Mack was two of the best in the business. And Prakesh, Joshi, he's saying good evening, gents. Nice to see you, Clancy. That's from Joshi.
But one of the things
Pleasure as well, man.
one of the things you see the take over the cricket is a no ball for an umpire most of the time too.
Yeah, well, guys, that's another discussion again, and I have an issue with the TV umpire calling the no ball. I believe that should be, But anyway, there's so many issues with that. But Clancy, we have spent you're battered and you have defended for over an hour and hour and a half,
35 minutes.
35 minutes, and really was a pleasure, really hearing quite a bit of your exploits, and how you. I think this is something that our umpires can also listen to. Speaking about 10 years, just being that third umpire, and some of us feel okay. I've passed the test, and I know I should be inserted. And you've shown that patience and that gratitude, and you've raised to the highest level. And again, I'm lending my voice that we need to start to meet with these guys, sit with them, and start to document these things. So these things can be these information can be put in our archive. So even 30, 40, 50 years after, persons can look back and understand what it was like for a young man growing up in the Grace Farm community, excelling on the national level in the football scene, and then going internationally in the umpiring field. But Clancy, this is a chance for you to give your closing remarks. Anything that you want to talk about quickly, and anybody you want to big up in terms of your development.
Well, first, let me say thanks for having me. Right? And Taddy, obviously, we go way back. Now, I don't say the age. Right?
Age is just a number.
But then, let me just say, you mentioned the time. Right? I'm just halfway through the first session of the game. Right? Because the session will go 2 hours. Right? And then 2.5 in some cases, right, where you have to use the extra half hour at the end of the day if you're getting the total number of overs, right? So as far as time is concerned, hey, I can sit here and we can talk for hours, brother, right? Because this is one of the things that umpiring has done for me, right? Giving you the ability to stay focused for hours. The umpire has to watch every single ball of the match until it is dead. Spectators look and they are satisfied with what they see. They look somewhere else, and then there's a shout, and then they make a decision for wherever they are, right? And that's the correct one. As a matter, the best umpire sit in the stand, right? But obviously, I would want to encourage any youngster who want to get into umpiring. The Antigua Cricket Umpires Association is always welcoming new individuals, right? And I'm heartened to say that we have a few women now, which is good, because the West Indies Cricket Board is looking for female umpires to officiate in the female tournament, so that they want to have an all-female match, right? So that you could now have the men doing the men's section and the females doing the female section. So there's opportunities, right? And obviously the remuneration, right? And don't worry about that, you can't get it now. You have to work, and then when they get up there, the remuneration will come. And then it's going to be very heartening, right? If not for COVID, then you'd get an opportunity to travel to wherever the match is played, right? You're well taken care of as far as accommodation, and you're coming back home with a few extra dollars. Good. And when you get to the international panel, right, then you get a retainer, right, a monthly retainer, which is quoted in US dollars, and And it is a profession now, you can live by it. It's not the days when you get 120 EC for those 4 days, 3 days match, you know what I mean? You've been paid in US, right? Some umpires get as much as 2,500, some get 8,000, right? So the opportunity they get in, get qualified, and then let the other things fall in place, right?
Grants,
I always tell players that you don't walk when they hit the ball, but when they are given out the umpire teeth. Okay? Shirley, good to have you watching. Herbert is saying, Clancy, you're so right. You trained me in the early 80s.
Because guy.
Clancy, you don't dabble a bit with Warri too?
Of course, I win 2 national championships already.
Well, you see, Taddy, we just don't have enough time.
And
We bring it back in
cell phone and accommodation, a hotel for weekend.
Kind of spirit back and all this kind of.
Great Samson.
Yeah.
Great Samson.
You know, but obviously, I'm not the individual who would walk around and squeeze my ears with my shoulders, right? So I'm humble. I'm always the ordinary individuals.
Yeah, but there comes a point in time where you see a lot of people don't know, and we have to get that information out there. And this is why I like the show so much, you know, because it really brings some information that, if you want to say under the rug, brings it out there, and so a lot of people can have it. And I think the good thing is, you know, we have our shows repeated on Channel 8 every Saturday.
Friday, John, can't forget that. Friday and Sunday, John.
And Sunday, so you know the information gets out there, which is
No, John.
yes, sir.
No, it's as I Clancy mentioned, the opportunities for umpires. And then here, I feel so, perturbed, disheartened. But I see so many young cricketers in Auntie, don't want to play the game. That's much money in the game. I don't understand them, John, they prefer maybe smokes and herbs somewhere, have to do something over the way. He said they go in the field and kill themselves, want to be the best they can be. So that's why he classes for the umpire. And it's easier for you as a cricketer than the umpire, because only few umpires are wanted, and few umpires come from all over the world. But just to make West Indies team that easier, in my opinion, especially now because the team like good.
But there's so many leagues around the globe.
Exactly, John. That's what I'm saying. So it's more difficult. It's more difficult as an umpire to make the panel. Much more difficult. So in the sense I don't know, I don't take the opportunity to get involved. But like I say, I was happy to have my body at Clancy. I didn't want to take it in the worry stuff. He can't beat Trevor Simon and stuff. He didn't good enough.
No, I didn't say I can beat Trevor, right? But I can take care of myself. I'm proud of that.
And John, I'm happy to have my body here. This is how we operate every time we meet, So this is my great body from a long time ago. And Monday talking sports in Mervyn, Mervyn Richards. He have Parish Benjamin, Fernando Abraham, and Michael Samuel, his old teammate, to talk football, old-time football, and maybe what's going on now with the Football Association. I don't know, the Parish is like the controversial kind of game. Everybody
in a walking constitution.
So that's going to be Mervyn show coming in Monday. So I think it might be a good show. Because Mike is a man like Clancy, the Empire kind of guy, And Fernando now is a 5-year-old guy. And Parish is like, not no footballer, but coach and, administrator. Yeah, so I think the show going to be interesting. Because I tell Mervyn, next week try to get Bato or get the other side. Because the election coming soon. So get him to talk.
I just saw a letter, extra letter that they said they got from FIFA, where FIFA's advised that the election be postponed due to something with some constitution, because they probably were revamping the constitution. Something to that effect. I guess we'll hear it.
Okay. Like, Clancy's an old football guy too, so he may know something.
I heard that FIFA is saying that the election must be done by secret ballot,
A secret ballot.
Yeah,
right? But it is, because of COVID now, there's a question of whether or not you can facilitate the teams and right? Because I think there was a suggestion to have it done by Zoom. Right? I say no. See, when individuals are there and they vote, drop the box, they drop the vote in, and somebody is given the opportunity to count it right in front of them. Then that's the best way.
Yeah, I think that's what I understood. Yeah, something like that. I don't really follow it exact, but I think.
I know, John, you like me, I don't follow them.
Yeah, I think it's working. That would work out better maybe for the incumbent. Gives him a little more time.
John, I don't understand the politics with that.
Alright.
Okay, John, I've been in football games since 1983. I don't know the game football stuff. I spent more time at factory during the time of the season, you know what I mean? But hey, football is not a sport, everybody's sport. So hey, whatever it is, it is.
I tell you see everybody that sit down here, we talk a little football, a little cricket, because as they tell you, in those times, it was the two main
If
sports.
too small, Clancy Branchard know the worry. In his old days,
Well,
Nothing to highlight his talent.
rounded.
John, what talent? John, what talent, John?
Full of talent, John.
Anyway, Clancy, there is an open invitation for you to return again, because we just touched the tip of the iceberg. We know there's a lot more that we could highlight, and as we go along, I'm sure Clancy will get in contact with you and let you know. And maybe at that time we might be able to get Clancy.
Pat, right?
Also.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets his body from Texas and my his body too.
Yeah, but let me just say this. For Pat, I felt he was hard done. They bring a man back after 13 years, Johnny Gale, and give him a test match in front of Pat. Let's say last year, the number on the panel was 6. This year it is 5, and Pat is still there. And you bring him on after 13 years and appoint him and test match in front of Pat. Hey, it didn't happen to me personally, but I can understand how he would have felt, right? Because like I tell you, for 10 years, every test match playing Antigua, I'm the third umpire. Right? An individual was saying, well, look, it's because I wasn't good, I couldn't make the standard and all of that, which I know was hogwash.
John, that is the politics of the West Indies cricket. Down island, this island, that's the story. You get it? I'm telling you, John, has nothing to do with Clancy and Pat White ability. I played almost all the umpires and two of the best I ever play with. Those guys don't make mistakes easily. But I put the umpire to make a mistake, they might favor me. And I want to win. You know what I mean, John? And that was it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we could go on and on. Our producer gave me 5 minutes about 10 minutes ago, and we're still going. And so, yes, definitely Clancy will be back, and we will be discussing more of his exploits. But I hope that the message, one of the message I would have gotten from Clancy is creativity. He's talking about us putting those stones there, and also perseverance. 10 years being the third umpire, not giving up, still holding hope, and then eventually got his opportunity, and he shone bright above all. So on that note, on behalf of our executive producer, Mr. Mark Charles, our co-host Taddy Aridel, our illustrious guest today, Clancy Mack, I'm your host Leroy John Baptist. Remember to join us on Monday from 5 o'clock with Mervyn Richards will be holding the Talking Sports, and as Francis said, he'll have a big in-house football contingent, and they'll be diving into some historical and probably present affairs of the football fraternity. So remember guys, follow all the protocols, stay safe, and we'll see you again next week Thursday for another edition of Talking